Straight up. Welcome back to your Way Happy Bible Study. Glory to God. I'm sorry. I was eating this chocolate ice cream. I was eating this little thing of chocolate ice cream here, right? Way Happy. And my friend sent me she sent me this little thing that says, I have reached an age where my mind says I can do that, but my body says, try it and die, fat girl. I can totally relate. Hi, everybody. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Kelly and Karen. Oh, I love you guys. I'm so glad you're here. Oh, that was funny. Now, and when we went to break earlier, I didn't hear the music. We're having some audio issues because I didn't hear the introduction, so I didn't know when we went live. And then I didn't hear the music for the break, and so I'm just continuing to teach for like 4 minutes into the break. What's the last thing you all heard? Did you hear all the way to verse 6 in chapter 13? That's where I show what we're at. You know. Okay. We're going to be required by God to show patience and a sense of humor, aren't we? Oh, well, wait, one more bite. That was so funny. Okay. Way happy. Okay. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. Oh, Troy's calling again. Hello, Troy. My volume? My volume is almost maxed. It's almost maxed. You want me to max it out? Okay, it's maxed. On my what? Oh, no, let me. Oh, well, let me go here. Okay. Well, okay. Looks like my, you want me to max out my volume on, okay. It was where it usually is at about 3/4, but my mic is working. Wouldn't it be my speakers that we're having? Well, I went on top of my Apple. System preferences? Well, I did that. I went into audio video. Yeah. Well, I mean, no. Uh-oh, sound. Let me go over here. Where? Okay. Um, I went into the Apple, then system preferences, right? Then you want me to go into sound? Oh, and then what? Okay, output volume is maxed out. Input level. This selected device has no input controls. Doesn't show an input level. I know I have the USB mic, but it says it has no. As far as I can tell, but it has something when it says input level, and then it says the selected device has no input controls. That's input. Do you want output? Now on output, I've got internal speakers, and then settings for the selected device is a balance between left and right, and the output volume is maxed. It's reekage. Well, it might be on. I mean, if it's me, help me figure it out because I have no idea. Okay. 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 Thank you, Troy. Bye. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay, let's get back into it. Now, in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 6, charity rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth. Now, you don't want to rejoice when people make mistakes and what they reap is the natural result of those mistakes. Okay? You don't want to do that. You feel bad for them because they have some things they need to learn to where that doesn't happen. But it says, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth. Okay? In verse 7, beareth all things, believeth all things. Now, okay, let's take these one at a time. Charity beareth all things. Regardless of what your own personal situation is, let's say you have food to feed your family for a week and then that's it. But you meet another family that along the way that is starving. Well, you take your week's worth of provisions for your family. Will you share with that other family? Or are you going to say, no, we've only got food for a week for ourselves. We can't help you. What you're supposed to do is take that other family in and share with them what you got, and you trust God to make it go beyond what you think it's going to go. You just have to do right and risk the consequences. So it bears all things, and charity believeth all things. Okay? If somebody's telling you what their problem is and what their needs are and what they, all these things, and you don't believe them, how are you supposed to be helpful to them? Maybe they're filling you full of it, but you're supposed to give them the benefit of the doubt that they're telling you the truth and help them. All right? Charity hopeth all things. Charity looks forward to a day when there is no want, no hunger, no starvation, no sickness, no death, no poverty, okay? No thirst, and that there's plenty for all. And hope endureth all things. No matter what charity endures all things, okay? You can get through anything, and so can your neighbor. If when their want comes, you give of yourself in supply of their needs. And then when your want comes, they give of themselves and supply your needs. Now, you trust God, you don't trust them. But if you give of yourself, God will send someone who will give of themselves to help you as well. Okay? In verse 8, charity never faileth. But whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Now, this says, if you've got people out there that are prophesying over others, which is more like divination, telling people their futures and all this, where excuse me, whether there be prophecies, they shall fail. Whether there be tongues, they shall cease. Now, as he's saying, all these other things, all these other indicators out there that people use for their faith and to watch for the king and stuff, they're going to fail. A lot of them. Or usually most of them at some point along the way. And he says, whether there be tongues, they shall cease. There's not always going to be the speaking of in tongues. That's not something that's not one of my gifts, but it's not something I need. If I needed it, he'd make sure I had it. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. Any knowledge that this generation has is going to vanish, but charity is going to prevail to where people give of themselves. Let's look up the word charity in the dictionary. Definition. Okay. The voluntary giving of help, typically in the form of money to those in need. Synonyms are financial assistance, aid, welfare, relief, financial relief, philanthropy, humanitarianism, humanity, altruism, public spiritedness, social conscience, benevolence, beneficence, munificence. Now, these are all talking about, and it's also an organization set up to provide help and raise money for those in need. So it's giving of yourself. Okay? But whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. If you meet somebody who's like Socrates and they're all full of this knowledge, but they won't give you a meal and they have plenty and you're starving, then what good is all their knowledge? It's not beneficial to you if they refuse to give of themselves to give you a meal and you're starving. In verse 9, for we know in part and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away. Now, he's saying that we understand in part, and we look forward to the prophecies in part. Okay, he said when we prophesize, I think that is showing what the word means and telling people that Jesus is coming. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away. There is not going to be any want in the millennium, and starvation and poverty and sickness and death and violence and all of these terrible things. And people's needs will not be the same as they are now. When in verse 11, when I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. At a certain point, you have to put away the myths and the fables and the bedtime stories, and you have to receive the word for what it is and do what it says, which is to give of yourself. And it's not just your money, it's your time, it's your effort, it's your resources, your talents. You have so many things that you can give to a hurting world. In verse 12, for now we see through a glass darkly. He's saying we don't really understand right now, and we can't see the full picture. But then face to face. But you will once everything changes, okay? Now I know in part, but then shall I know even as also I am known. So then we will understand once we get to the finish line of our race here and things change. In verse 13, and now abideth faith, hope, and charity. These three, but the greatest of these is charity. So it's having charity, a willingness to give of yourself, your time, your money, your resources, your talents, your efforts, whatever you have to give. Faith, hope, and charity. But the greatest is charity. So even though you have great faith, if you are not willing to give of yourself and what God has given to you, then your faith is pointless. Hope. You can have hope for the new millennium and great things that are coming, and it's all going to be great and wonderful. But if you don't have charity, your hope is really pointless as well. Okay? Because without charity, we're just a clanging cymbal, just a noisemaker. Okay? Unless you are willing to give of yourself to those God places before you in need, then you got a problem. Okay? And you need to pray about that and ask God, develop these qualities in me, Lord. You know, do you find yourself selfish and kind of feeling like you need to gather things up for yourself and for your own through these things, and you don't care about anybody on the outside? Well, when these things come to pass, and God, if you have provisions and someone is starving, God's going to lead them straight to you. And that is your cue to share and to feed them too, to help them endure, help them survive. You just have to be willing to risk yourself to help others around you. Okay? So even, if you have barely anything, that barely anything can help someone that is not as good off as you are. Okay? Now we're going to go into, does anybody have any questions on the, let's see. That's right. Karen said charity is love in action. That's right. That is love manifested. Like Jesus died for us. That's charity in action. He did something for us that was so great, but it cost him dearly. Cost him dearly. But he was willing to give his own life to benefit us. Okay? That is correct. Very good. Let's see. Hi, Crash. Are you doing all right? Glory to God. Okay. Father, in the name of Jesus, we ask you to heal Crash Bash in the chat room. And we thank you that your word says that anything that we ask in the name of your Son will be given. Thank you, Lord. He assures us that anything we ask in the name of his Son will be given to us. We're going to take a real quick break, and we'll be right back after. Great. right up.